Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. We'll start with the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos issues 4 royal decrees. Wilaya of Sur wins Cup of His Majesty the Sultan and Municipalities and Water Resources Month competitions. The Common Values Conference calls from Muscat to contain terrorism and ward off the risk of misunderstanding of Islamic religion. And celebrations on the 44th Glorious National Day continue in various governorates of the Sultanate. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in details. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has issued 4 royal decrees. Royal Decree number 62/2014 issues law of determining port fees of loading hydrocarbon materials and petroleum products. Article 1 enacts provisions of law of determining port fees of loading hydrocarbon materials and petroleum products. Article 2, this decree shall be published in the Official Gazette and shall come into effect from the following date of its publication. Royal Decree number 63/2014 approves organizational structure of Secretariat General of Supreme Council for Planning. Article 1 approves organizational structure of the Secretariat General of Supreme Council for Planning, as it mentioned in the attached appendix. Article 2 cancels all that contradicts with provisions of this decree or contravenes with its provisions. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the Official Gazette and shall come into effect from the date of its issue. Royal Decree number 64/2014 determines specializations of the Ministry of Housing and approves its organizational structure. Article 1 determines specializations of the Ministry of Housing in accordance with the attached appendix number 1. Article 2 approves organizational structure of the Ministry of Housing in accordance with the attached appendix number 2. Article 3 cancels Royal Decree number 3/2008 and also cancels all that contradicts with the provisions of this decree or contravenes with its provisions. Article 4, this decree shall be published in the Official Gazette and shall come into effect from the following date of its publication. And Royal Decree number 65/2014 appoints non-resident ambassador. Article 1 appoints Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Abdullah bin Zahir al-Hinai, Sultanate's ambassador to the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, as non-resident ambassador to Latvia. Article 2, this decree shall be published in the Official Gazette and shall come into effect from the date of its issue. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has received the cable of thanks from His Excellency President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey in reply to His Majesty's cable of greetings on the 61st anniversary of the proclamation of the Republic. The Ministry of Heritage and Culture celebrated the soft opening of the National Museum and inaugurated the museum's identity, which represents in highlighting cultural heritage of the Sultanate and instilled Omani values, in addition to embodying citizens' belonging and introducing citizens and visitors to the Sultanate's heritage. The official opening is planned for mid-2015. It was presided over by His Highness Sayyid Haytham bin Tariq Al Saeed, Minister of Heritage and Culture and Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the National Museum. The soft opening of the National Museum is aimed to undertake the operation of the devices, equipment, systems and administration works, in addition to assure their readiness for the official opening. During the soft opening period, groups of citizens and residents will be invited to view the contents and the systems of the museum in order to proceed for a hassle-free official opening. The museum included modern showcasing methods at a world standard, in addition to a special place for the blind using Braille language system in Arabic at the museum halls. The 28th Conference of Latin Academy in Common Values in the Multicultural World, which was held in Muscat, called to contain terrorism and ward off the risk of radical religious groups, which caused the spread of misunderstandings about the religion of Islam. The conference stressed the importance of civilizations' league integration to achieve peace in all countries in the world. The conference was presided over by His Excellency Dr. Yahya bin Mahfouz al-Mandari, Chairman of the State Council. The Sultanate's message of tolerance and living in peace to avoid religious sectarian intolerance was clearly convened in the conference. And still to come in our news bulletin. The Public Authority for Radio and Television inaugurates its office in the Governorate of North Al Batina. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. The Wilaya of Sur in the Governorate of South Sharqiya won the Cup of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos in the 27th Competitions of Municipalities Month and Water Resources for 2014 under the theme Continued Efforts in Sustainable Development. It came with His Excellency Ahmed bin Abdullah bin Muhammad al-Shahi, Minister of Regional Municipalities and Water Resources, who announced and added that the competition enhances cooperation and community partnership concepts among all categories of society and municipalities to keep the Omani environment clean and free of pollutions. First, the wilayas which won the first place for the Cup of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos with cash prizes are as follows. The Wilaya of Sur came first, the Wilaya of Manah second, the Wilaya of Saham won the third place, and the Wilaya of Madha achieved the fourth, and the Wilaya of Ibra came fifth. The wilayas which won the Ministry's Cup with cash prizes are as follows. The Wilaya of Liwa came 6th, the Wilaya of Ibri 7th, while the Wilaya of Al Sinina won the 8th place. The Wilaya of Bahla achieved the 9th, and the Wilaya of Al Mudaybi came 10th. And third, the wilayas which achieved advanced results in different fields are as follows. The Wilaya of Al-Jazar came 11th, the Wilaya of Ja'lan Bani Bu Hassan the 12th, while the Wilaya of Nakhal won the 13th place, and the Wilaya of Al-Awabi achieved the 14th place. The Ministry decided to honor the Wilaya of Al-Khabura, appreciating the efforts exerted in the field of awareness and media, as well as the Wilaya of Madha for the efforts in the fields of developing the city's entrances. His Excellency, the Minister of Regional Municipalities and Water Resources, said that announcing these results coincides with the celebration of the 44th Glorious National Day. He added that 14 wilayas out of 44 entered the final competition. He also stated that the month's activities in its new edition focused on cooperation among the community and exerting more hard work. The Shura Council Office discussed in its meeting today the works of the second ordinary session of the 4th annual convening round. More details in the following report by Saif bin Khalfan al-Kindi.
The report that has been released today by the Economy and Finance Committee on the annual draft budget of the state was the common issue widely discussed at the main hall of the Shura Council. In that report, it was revealed that the price of oil set at $80 per barrel as an average rate that Shura members suggested to the government when considering 2015 state budget. Over 61% of the votes went for supporting that debate. In his speech, His Excellency Khalid bin Hilal al-Mawali, Chairman of the Shura Council, focused on finding alternatives and other choices to increase the non-petroleum income. Therefore, the report of the committee came with many vital recommendations to support that area. One of the main recommendations was to increase the tax collected from telecommunications sector and raise it from 7 to 12%, as well as increasing the rate of gas locally and commercially consumed by those industries that still being benefited from the previous year's support. These and more other suggestions will be essentially considered as alternatives in case if the crude oil price remains to be at lower level. His Excellency Sulaim bin Ali al-Hakmani, head of the Economy and Finance Committee, emphasized that there is a need to be aware of any hesitance in oil prices, and he alerted that many actual steps should be taken by the government. Furthermore, many other issues have been tackled during the sitting, one of them on housing projects and other services demanded by the citizens. Well, the annual draft was the key concept of today's discussion in Shura Council. Tomorrow, there is an essential discussion on the financial figures for the coming draft by inviting His Excellency, the Minister responsible for Financial Affairs, to give further details on this matter. Sayyid bin Khalfan Al-Kindi for English News, Muscat.
Coinciding with the Sultanate's celebration on the occasion of the 44th Glorious National Day, the Public Authority for Radio and Television, PART, inaugurated its office in the Wilaya of Suhar in North Al-Batin as governor today, under the patronage of His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Nasser Al-Harrasi, chairman of PART, in the presence of His Excellency Sheikh Muhanna bin Saif Al-Lemki, governor of North Al-Batin. The inauguration came within the authority's plans, which aim to support the governorates of the Sultanate with media potentials, which included broadcasting events and activities from various governorates of the Sultanate. His Excellency, the chairman of PART, toured various sections of the office, which is the second one after the office in the Buraymi Governorate. He said that the step comes as part of PART's plan to expand its activities and media coverage. To celebrate 44th Glorious National Day, citizens in the Wilaya of Al-Kamil wal-Wafi at the Governorate of South Sharqiyya held a procession of allegiance and gratitude, cheering sincere greetings and best wishes to His Majesty, the beloved leader, praying to Almighty to protect His Majesty as the guardian of this country and its people. Huge crowds of citizens participated in the procession, carrying pictures of His Majesty and hoisting flags of the Sultanate. It was also accompanied by Omani traditional arts. Citizens of the Wilaya of Al-Hamra at the Governorate of Dakhiliya organized a procession of allegiance and gratitude and took to the streets with the Sultanate's flag, hoisting pictures of His Majesty the Sultan as traditional bands performed singing arts and a prayer to Almighty to protect His Majesty and endow him with good health. Coinciding with the 44th Glorious National Day celebrations, 25 traditional bands participated in Traditional Arts Festival in the Wilaya of Qurayyat. It witnessed a wide attendance from citizens of the Wilaya. The event included many activities and shows where the participants performed the art of Al-Razha and Al-Bar'a, dances, among many other singing arts. It also included poetic sessions to express feelings of loyalty and gratitude to the builder of Oman's Renaissance, His Majesty the Sultan. The festival also included handicraft in addition to horse and camel shows. To join the 44th Glorious National Day celebrations, the citizens of the Wilaya of Matrah at the Governorate of Muscat organized a procession of allegiance and gratitude. It came to express feelings of loyalty and gratitude to the builder of Oman's Renaissance, His Majesty Sultan Qaboos. The citizens took to the streets with the Sultanate's flags hoisting as traditional bands sung arts added further joy to the glorious occasion. In the Wilaya of Samal at the Governorate of Dakhiliya, the citizens organized a procession of allegiance and gratitude to join the celebrations of the 44th Glorious National Day. It came to express their gratitude to Almighty Allah and His Majesty's recovery. They were holding the Sultanate's flag and pictures of His Majesty the Sultan as traditional bands singing arts added more joy to this glorious occasion. And in the village of Ghala, at the Wilaya of Boshar, a celebration evening was held to express allegiance and gratitude for His Majesty Sultan Qaboos and to join the 44th Glorious National Day celebrations across the country. It witnessed a huge attendance from members of the society, including men, women and children, who hoisted flags of the Sultanate, cheering sincere greetings and best wishes to His Majesty, the beloved leader, praying to Almighty to protect His Majesty as the guardian of this country and its people. It included various activities, namely traditional arts, student shows and poetic sessions. At the end, a bright flag on top of a mountain shined in the darkness of the night, symbolizing the dawn of the Blessed Renaissance and the joy of the 44th glorious National Day. In the wilaya of Ibri, in the governorate of Zahira, the citizens organized a procession to rejoice His Majesty's good health and to celebrate the 44th glorious National Day. During the procession, huge crowds of citizens carried pictures of His Majesty and flags of the Sultanate, cheering sincere greetings and best wishes to His Majesty, the beloved leader, praying to Almighty to protect His Majesty as the guardian of this country and its people. In contributing with the happiness of the citizens for assuring His Majesty's good health and celebrating the 44th glorious National Day, the Asian community in the wilaya of Khasab at the governorate of Musandam held a procession of allegiance and gratitude. In the procession, they carried pictures of His Majesty and hoisted flags of the Sultanate, expressing feelings of joy and love for the Omani people and cheering sincere greetings and best wishes to His Majesty, the beloved leader, praying to Almighty to protect His Majesty as the guardian of this country and its people. The main committee of traffic safety competition at the Traffic Safety Institute held a meeting to discuss assessment results of the first traffic safety competition 2012-2013 and the lessons benefited from the assessment and ways of developing it. The meeting also reviewed the media plan for the next competition 2014-2015. Secondary teams who took part in the evaluation were honored. Major General Hamid bin Sulaiman Al-Hatmi, Assistant Inspector General of Police and Customs of Operations, head of the committee, presided over the meeting. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos issues 4 royal decrees. Wilaya of Sur wins the Cup of His Majesty the Sultan in Municipalities and Water Resources Month competitions. The Common Values Conference calls from Muscat to contain terrorism and ward off the risk of misunderstanding of Islamic religion. And celebrations on the 44th Glorious National Day continue in various governorates of the Sultanate. With that, we come to an end to tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, good night.